Hello, everyone. Welcome back. 2026, the first of our podcast for the year. Obviously, we've been quite quiet for a while with just Hong Kong coming out in December, but we are very much looking forward to getting the ball rolling for 2026 and the flat season. And what a way to start than by having Ron Woods with us. Hopefully, a fair few of you will recognise him from the Hong Kong podcast, and he did a bit of work for us in the past, but obviously currently works for the Telegraph Media Group as a commercial betting partner, has worked for the Racing Post in the past, and is all-around bit of an expert. So, Ron, thank you very much for joining us. How are you getting on?
Cheers, James. Yeah, good, thanks. Glad to be back.
Good. And is the Pegasus a race you look forward to? It holds a significant part of the calendar for you?
Yeah, exactly. I've always enjoyed the Pegasus. I've been over there a few times. Like I went over for the first one, or the first few, in fact. The race day itself is good fun, and it's over the years it's been won by some great horses. So it's a race I like and enjoy.
Yeah. It has. Probably the theme of today will be looking back. It's been won by some great horses. Whether it will be this year, we're not so sure. There is a smaller purse this year. I think when it started, it was 12 million. When Arrogate won in 2017, it's all the way down to 3 million right now. And it's the first big Group 1 race for the flats season. It's staged Gulfstream, Florida, for horses aged 4 and upwards. And so it's called the Pegasus World Cup. Doesn't actually tend to attract non-US horses. Maybe there'll be some Americans watching this, but it is the strange thing about US sports. They do it with if you win the Super Bowl, you're the world champions. If you win the basketball, you're the world champions, and what have you, despite it being a sport that is largely only played in the US. But regardless, it's a very deep and interesting field, despite the lack of the big 3-year-old superstars. And I know that the two of you seem to have some quite different opinions, so I'm looking forward to hearing you battle it out, essentially. And to start with, Daniel, I can ask you to get up the configuration that we're going to talk about. Having a look at the track is quite unique for a Group 1 or Grade 1, in fact. And I'll hand over to you to talk about in a bit more detail, Daniel.
Just very briefly. This is the 1 mile 1 furlong, 9 furlongs, Gulfstream dirt track. The turf track's inside, not shown here. But as you can see, they basically do a lap of the track. But they do a lap of the track from not just before the winning post, but really not that far from the first bend. So in terms of what you really need to know about Gulfstream and the draw, there is a draw bias. Low is better. Yes, you can win from further out. Races over this distance have been won at Gulfstream from out before. But the only time the Pegasus has been won from a wide stall is when Gunrunner took it, and Gunrunner was a superstar, and I think he was second by the first bend anyway. So it's a disadvantage. It can be done, but it's a disadvantage because they turn so quickly into the bend.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's have a look at the contenders then, and we can have a think about how the draw is factored in as we go. So first up, the horse we'll talk about, Ron. I'll come to you for this, right? It's disco time. Jump on Brad. I'm beating him 5, so that obviously puts him firmly at the top of the betting. But is 7-4 a little short about a horse that's never run in a Grade 2, let alone win a Grade 1?
Yeah, I think he's on the short side. He's highly promising, as you mentioned. He's unbeaten. Goes for sort of top connections. He's just on the short side because I don't love his draw in Gate 1. Like he's going to have to. There's a lot of pace to his outside, and he wants to be forwardly positioned. He did win one race from well back, but I think if he's going to have a chance on Saturday to justify favouritism, he's going to have to kind of get handy from stall 1. Otherwise, he'll just get completely shuffled back. So there's a slight question mark about can he get a position. It's all very well saying you can't win from out wide and take the point straight into the bend, but that can also be detrimental when you're drawn inside as well, because all of those horses who are wider are going to try and cut across and get their position. So it can all get a bit busy. No doubt in his talent. He's really fast on speed figures. But he won a small field race last time. This is just a way more competitive scenario, and as you'll kind of hear from us when we get further down the field, there's lots of horses with chances. This isn't a gimme for by any means. So yeah, he's not for me. Like I respect he's a really flashy, talented horse, but I think there's more value elsewhere.
Okay, well, yeah, look forward to hearing about the value elsewhere. Daniel, I remember you were deeply frustrated as you had pen to paper writing an article about Disco Time when you subsequently crashed the price by backing him simultaneously. 7-4, is that still attractive despite the followers missing the fours, which you did get?
William and I are usually pretty good about taking one bet and not cutting. There are other bookmakers that I won't mention that will basically on an illiquid anti-post market take one bet from someone and cut it immediately. But I wouldn't have thought Hales. Yeah, no, anyway, that was disappointing. So we didn't write the article about Disco Time. I agree with Ron. He's short 7-4 in a competitive 12-horse race is very short. But this is the horse who could still be absolutely anything. You know, he's in the Frankel colours. He's still on the Frankel trail, isn't he? He's unbeaten, right? So he was injured on the Derby Trail, won the LeConte, had time off, came back, and they'd been nothing fields. That's absolutely right to say he's been beating nothing. This is a different test. But he destroyed those fields. He did it well on the clock. And the Dwyer just downgraded from a Group 3 to a listed race now, but some good horses won in the past. I mean, he broke 134 Aqueduct, which takes some doing. And I think what I like about him, and although Ron's right to flag up that post 1 is almost something no US trainer wants for their horses in a US dirt route race. In a way, I think it works because the speed in full Serrano, and he just could get a perfect toe. And I think the other factor in his favour is he's so versatile. He's won from the lead all the way. He came from last in the LeConte, and he's stalked and pressed and won. So in summary, yeah, he never faced a top class course. He does here. Never run at Gulfstream, but I do still see him as the most likely winner of this race.
Yeah. Okay. One horse that has beaten a superstar is next in the betting, then that's Tappan Street. So going back to you, Daniel, it's got the win over Sovereignty on his resume. That not make him an obvious threat, no?
Yeah, I mean, so we said, you know, we still don't know how high Disco Time can race, having been unbeaten. Well, Tappan Street is the most likely race in the field. I think he's only had 4 races. And I mean, the feather in his cap in terms of his CV, I mean, the most impressive thing on paper, as he has the beating of Sovereignty, which is an eye catcher. In the Florida Derby, he was on the Kentucky Derby Trail. And that's course and distance. It's a Group 1. That day it probably was a Group 1 because he beat the Kentucky Derby winner, who arguably is, you know, the best dirt horse in training. There'll be, obviously, the Japanese might dispute that. Hopefully they'll fight it out in the Middle East later in the year. Now, Tappan Street, the thing is, he got injured. He was going to go to the Kentucky Derby, but they had to pull him out. He had an injury, and then he was off for 9 months. And he comes back and wins. So nothing wrong with that, except I think he was something like 1-10, and it was a nothing field with nothing horses, and he struggled to win. So this wasn't, you know, Disco Time, you know, absolutely demolishing a field by 10. This was kind of an ugly win. So there are 2 ways of looking at that. Either, you know, was that Sovereignty probably wasn't cranked up for the race by Bill Mott. That was the line at the time. So maybe that race wasn't quite so good, and maybe this horse is not as good as that Florida Derby made him look. But the other way of looking at it is he's got a right to improve. You know, he'd been off 9 months. So on balance, I kind of put him down the order. I've got him in as it were, in my top 4. But I wouldn't want to bet him at that price. You'll notice, looking at the screen, his morning line is 6-1. And when he gets to that kind of territory, I'd see people taking a punt. But yeah, with no great fast speed figures on his card, I wouldn't want him at 72.
Yeah, and Ron, which way do you fall? Which side do you look at it on?
Yeah, I kind of echo everything Daniel's just said. Yeah, I don't want to kind of just repeat the case. The big issue is that he's just not fast on speed figures. If you're looking at it purely on sort of paper form, and you think, okay, he's beaten Sovereignty over the course and distance, then by rights he should be favourite for this race. But the reason he's not is because he just hasn't run that fast. And even in the Florida Derby, without sounding like a big aftertimer, because Sovereignty went on to prove such a good horse afterwards, Sovereignty was a big eye catcher that day. And like, I think even at the time, everyone was acknowledging that Sovereignty got a bit too far back and ran on really well. And whereas Tappan Street had an ideal run round, there's untapped potential there. He's just had that one run back from injury and just jogged around, and like, he didn't have to run fast to win that race. But if you know, taking 7-2 about a horse who's got to prove he's quick enough, you know, I'd happily pass him over.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next horse has probably got very little to prove when it comes to cementing his class and ability to run very well in this race. It's White Abarrio. He's currently 9-2, and obviously he's won a Breeders' Cup Classic in the past, and he won this race last year by a record margin. Why do you think he's 9-2, and do you think that's good value, Ron?
Yeah, he interests me. When I was making my notes for the race last night, I think I wrote that, like, off since the end of August, probably not the same horse now. And then the more I looked at it, I thought, well, wait a minute, like, I don't want to be so hasty in rolling him out. I think IRLT's he was on last time. He's back up again. Last time out, he rode the jockey rode Maddocket Road, he rode Tappan Street, and he rode Captain Cook, and he's still kind of keeping the faith with last year's winner. Whether he had the choice to ride all those three, to stay on those three that he won last time, I'm not 100% sure. But nevertheless, he's one of those. He rode those last time. He's on White Abarrio. I think it might just be too quick to write this horse off. Like, we ran away with the race last year. I'm not too bothered about gate 11 for him. Absolutely take the point about they've been sort of so quick into the first turn, which typically wouldn't be ideal. But there are 4 or 5 who will just kind of go ahead of him. And I watched last year's race again last night, and he was kind of happy just to bide his time and race wide as well. And then on his day, this is a really good horse, and he picked them up quite easily last year. And you could argue it's a kind of deeper field, some younger, kind of promising horses in there this year. But this is a Breeders' Cup Classic winner. I don't know if Ortiz would be on him if he was gone, and if he isn't gone, then he's, like, for starters, he should probably be a shorter price than the one we just spoke about, Tappan Street. So yeah, I really like him, having kind of initially gone in thinking, right, let's put a line through this one. So I talked myself into him.
Yeah. Dan, I get the impression that you are close to putting a line through him. Is that a result of the draw, or is that a result of?
Not just. I mean, I've got to be honest. I mean, it's an agonising decision to make, because this horse has been one of the sort of horses in my betting career have been most favourable to me, and it's with agony that I abandoned him. Not least because, as well as being by far the most accomplished horse in this race, a proper Group 1 horse, and not Mickey Mouse Group 1s, the Whitney, Pegasus, Breeders' Cup Classic. He's also got an incredible Gulfstream record. He's run 10 times around his circuit. He's got 8 wins and a second. I mean, that is almost terrifyingly good. So, in a sense, how can you not go against him at that price? The answer is it's the last year. He wins last year's Pegasus. And then his last 3 runs are 4th, 4th, and 4th, with possibly different excuses each time. He was going to be in the Breeders' Cup, but their overzealous vets did their thing. We never got to saw whether he had still had it. We don't know if he's still got it. And he's 7. There's talk of an interrupted training schedule. If you look at his works, his only last 2 works are 3 furlongs and 4 furlongs, and they're all each furlong is 13 seconds. It's like he's jogging around the track. I have to throw him out with the draw as the negative icing on that cake, if you like. But this could come back to bite me. Yeah, I'm chucking him out, but boy, has he got back class, and boy, does he like Gulfstream.
Yeah. It would be nice. It'd be nice to see him win. A horse that rescued our Breeders' Cup a couple of years ago, I think, when he won the Classic. The horse we'll move on to next is.
I was going to jump in there. Sorry, just one thing about the potential interrupted training. I'm sure it was the same thing before the Breeders' Cup Classic. There was all this talk, and I was like, "Oh, he can't win because he's, according to all these reports and so on." And then he just absolutely dominated. So
that's true.
I'm taking that as a positive.
I see what you mean. Also, it is true that he won the Breeders' Cup Classic off the straight 3-month break from the Whitney. So it's not like he absolutely needs a prep race like he had last year for the Pegasus. No, I get that point.
Yeah. He's an interesting horse. Long career, varies career, moves around a fair bit. He's impressive and he's likable at times. Next in the betting is Full Serrano. So he won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile back in November 2024, and is probably likely to be on the front end. Do you see him as a threat to make all at 9-1? Daniel, will stick with you.
I do see him as a threat. Yeah, and here too, you've got a situation with White Abarrio. You've got a slightly overlooked recent form, because he was well beaten in this year's dirt mile. Don't know what happened there. He was 12 lengths back in fifth. Didn't get to the lead. So now he's a 7-year-old. In fact, he's a 6-year-old if he'd born in this hemisphere. He's sort of 6.5, but he's also quite long in the tooth. So with that kind of negative downturn in form at the end of last year, is he a bit of a doubt? My hunch is that he's really dangerous, because Gulfstream can be kind to speed. He's really fast, and I don't see the others challenging him for the lead, other than maybe Micah out in 9th or 10th next to White Abarrio. And I don't know if that horse has what I call Group 1 speed to the bend. Maybe he does, and maybe they'll face off, and maybe others will join in. It'll turn into a great bum fight, and it'll all melt down. In which case, obviously he's not going to win. But I think he's dangerous. I think he'd run well for a very long way, and I do think he can get a piece of this.
Yeah. We were all very keen on him for this year's Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, so he could do with salvaging that. Ron, over to you. Are you a fan of Full Serrano?
Not for this race. I take the point that he could suddenly come back, and he is a Breeders' Cup winner. It surprised me. He ran so badly last time that it would surprise me if he can come back and win this race. He has got speed. Gulfstream can favour speed. He's not badly positioned in terms of saving ground into the first turn, but I think he's going to face a lot of heat from the Baffert horse, Maddocket Road. I think that horse was pressing the pace and took up the running in the 7-foal Malibu last time. I think he'll keep. And I'm sure they'll just send that one. I don't see Full Serrano getting it easy at all. And there's cases to be made for lots of these, so you've got to be quite at some point put a line through some of them. And for me, the red line is going through that horse. Yeah,
and as you just mentioned Maddocket Road there for Baffert, and is he a horse that you could make a case for?
Absolutely, yeah. He was, I do like him. He was only 4th in the Florida Derby last year behind Tappan Street and also Sovereignty. That form obviously wouldn't be good enough to win this race, and kind of contradicting myself from an earlier point that this horse hasn't run. He's one of those horses that hasn't recorded a big speed figure yet either. I think the reason I'm prepared to kind of buy into this guy more is that I think he's trending to kind of give his best. I think his best days are still ahead of him, and I also think it's interesting that in fact he's even just been sent by Bob Baffert. Bob Baffert's got, I'll refer to my notes, Bob Baffert's got like a phenomenal record in this race. I think he's had 3 winners, 2 seconds from only 6 runners. He's not sending this horse just for like a good time. I think he thinks this will have a right chance, and he's got the speed and the draw to get a position into the first turn. A couple of years ago, Baffert won it with National Treasure, and they really kind of forced a hot pace with National Treasure. I think they'll do the same with this horse. And these Baffert horses can just hang in there. Like when other horses have kind of been burned by that pace, I think potentially this horse might be still hanging around at the finish. I don't quite have him on top. I think I prefer White Abarrio to maybe potentially just see it out that bit better, but I think he's a serious contender.
Yeah, definitely. And you'd rather be taking 14-1 about an unexposed horse than the 7-2 and 2-1 available about the front 2 in the market. Are you singing from the same hymn sheets, Daniel, about Maddocket Road?
No, I've turned the sheet upside down with it.
Okay.
It's fascinating. So the early market for this had Baffert's Goal Oriented as the likely Baffert candidate, and whether or not that one got an invite, and then they decided to retire him anyway because they thought he wasn't up to it. Don't know, but I got the sense that Maddocket Road was sort of an afterthought invitation, and Baffert sending one as in a why not candidate rather than thinking this one can step up. I could be completely wrong in that. But I don't like the fact that in 9 runs, I think all he's got is a maiden special weight win. And if he's going to make all, isn't he going to end up like when he ran over this distance in the Florida Derby and faded to 4th? So actually, I thought they probably wouldn't make him part of that, just send, even though that's often the way with Baffert. So I thought they might try and stalk and see if they can manage his stamina. So yeah, I could be wrong about that that as well. But the one thing I will definitely say is, I mean, although he was only fourth in the San Vicente after last time out, that was his 4-year-old debut, and that was after a 4-month break. So he could improve for that. I just don't think he's good enough. So could be left with egg on my face there.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Next up, we have got Skippy Longstocking, one of the more popular horses in training. So Ron, he won the local prep race for this race a month ago. And do you think that puts him in good stead for this at odds of 20-1?
Yeah, like a really likeable horse, as you say. This is the 4th time running in the Pegasus. I think he's finished 7th, pulled up 1 year and finished 3rd last year. He didn't run especially fast in winning that prep race, and I don't think he's suddenly going to go and win it this year. Was he a 7-year-old now, I think? He's got an outside chance, if everything falls into place for him, that he could kind of pop up and gain like what would probably be quite a popular win, but I think more likely 3rd or 4th. He likes the track, and a repeat of kind of last year's performance where he picked up a few pieces and got 3rd is probably the best for him, I think, this time around.
Okay, yeah, more of an each-way play, maybe one to put in your exotic bets if you're that way inclined. Daniel, you had a tale of backing Skippy Longstocking for this race. Will you be repeating the same motion?
Oh, yeah, I've backed him a couple of times for this race, including when he was 7th and pulled up. 2 times I backed him for this race. Not that he was 3rd last year. He is one of the most likable horses in training. He runs so much. He's a complete warrior. And he's got 9 wins at Group 3 and Group 2 level. Always turns up. The problem I've got is whenever he's stepped his hooves into Group 1 territory, it's all gone wrong, and the figures are 5, 3, 9, 7, pulled up 3, 5, 6, 3, 7. And it's just that I hate just going by stats, but that seems to me so damning. Now he's 7. I couldn't get him there for the winner. I've left him out of my 4, but I will admit he's the one I agonize over, because I could easily see him getting place, and maybe certainly on price 20-1 does look very big. But yeah, I can't see 7-year-old Skippy breaking his Group 1 duck. Yeah.
Another horse that was 20-1 is Poster. He was beaten just a neck by Skippy Longstocking in that prep race I referred to earlier. He's a lot less exposed, Ron. Does that make him a more attractive prospect?
I quite like this horse in terms of, like, he's a fun horse. He's not particularly fast, but he kind of runs on, and just kind of what he did last time, and is what I think he'll do this time. They're putting blinkers on him, might wake him up a little bit. Ran 2nd to Skippy Longstocking in the prep. I could just see him plodding on for 4th or 5th, but he is not fast enough to win. I wondered if they'd look at the Dubai World Cup for him, 10 furlongs around Meydan, and I think he'd just keep galloping. But Godolphin he's owned by Godolphin, have also got sovereignty. So whether or not that is a plan or not, I don't know. I just think the World Cup could suit him certainly more than this race. I can't see how he can win over 9 furlongs around a quick track like this, but possibly pick up a bit of the pieces.
Okay, Dan, are you in agreement? Echo the same thoughts?
Yeah, I see it similarly. I mean, this Gulfstream just doesn't look the track for him. For me, it's more speed favouring. If it's a pace meltdown, this guy could be interesting, because he'll come late. I suspect to be over by then. I'd much rather see him in that long Saudi straight, or as Ron says, in Dubai. But no, he comes here. Hasn't done anything impressive on the clock to suggest that he can land a serious Group 1. And the other thing I noticed, which really puts me off, is that you'll note that he was 2nd. He was closing on Skippy Longstocking in the Harlan's Holiday, the prep race for this. But that was only a few weeks ago. The weight disadvantage he's got now is huge, because they've changed year. That was late December. This is January. So he's lost the weight allowance, £3. Skippy Longstocking had a £5 weight penalty then. So he's £8 off, even with Skippy Longstocking, who I can't see doing better than 4th or 3rd. So no, as I say, unless there's pace meltdown, this one's a toss for me.
Okay. The next horse, we saw banishing about 50 times last season. 38 of those will have been in the Traitors, and 12 of those is the horse. So terrible, but I love the Traitors, so need to reference that. Yeah, very hardy, much like Skippy Longstocking, but as yet to have won a Grade 1. Daniel, are you a fan? Can you see him doing it?
I've struggled to see him winning, but I am a fan. In fact, how you can't be a fan of this horse, I don't know. I mean, he runs an enormous amount, and he's hugely consistent. In his last 19 starts, he's hit the board, top 3 position 17 times. That's amazing, and most of these are graded stakes. Now, Group 1 is slightly different matter, but as you know, we said before, not that many proven Group 1 horses in this race, and a couple of them got form questions to ask. So other things like he's hugely versatile. He's won over 6, 7, 8, and 9. He was a superb, very close second, dead heating with Nisos behind Mindframe. You put Nisos or Mindframe in this race, they're going off favourite or co-favourite. And he's got a great draw. Then there's the negative. He was totally thrashed in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and he was beaten last time out as favourite over the same distance. I don't think 6 furlongs is what this horse wants anymore. He's Ghost Sapper, I think. He wants more distance. And although he's 6, I'm looking for a big run from this guy from a good draw.
What about you, Ron? Are you a fan of Banishing?
I can't knock any of that. I mean, it all makes sense. He's one, like, you know, he's another of the horses who's got a chance, and there's so many of them in this race. He's not for me. I think there is a slight query about the distance. He did finish second in the Oaklawn Handicap over this trip, a Grade 2 last spring. His best speed figures give him an outside chance. Like, I'm not saying I'm not categorically saying like, he can't win. No, he's got a chance. Just, I think there are others with more convincing claims overall than Banishing.
Okay, and Banishing, a little bit of love for, but not. No one can see him getting his nose in front. Next up, we have got Mika. I will stop with any crap cultural references and go straight to Ron for the insight that you're after. 33-1. What do you make of the price?
Yeah, he's quite a lightly raced horse. He's improving. Second in the Cigar Mile at Aqueduct on his most recent start. The issue for him is he kind of likes to go forward. We've already spoken about a couple of others who are going to be up there, and there's even a couple more who are going to probably, I think, try and push it potentially. Not for me. I don't think he can boss this field. Mike Maker, I respect around Gulfstream, and he's had some nice winners on this card. But yeah, I don't think he's good enough, the horse, to dominate this field from stall 10.
Okay. How do you see it, Daniel? Able to make all, or pretty unlikely with this field?
Pretty unlikely. He's got real speed and goes to the lead. He'll try and do that again, but that's yet to prove he's got Group 1 speed against the likes of full Serrano. So probably not. If he can make the lead, I mean, it is interesting that his profile, he's basically been a turf horse for most of his career, and just recently returned to dirt, and it's just gone really well since. And last time out, he's only caught in the final yards of the Group 2 Cigar Mile, which I think used to be a Group 1. And that got a good speed figure. Then that scratched my head, and I see that was a second slower, same course and distance, as second slower than Disco Times Dwyer. And I find different days you can't compare, but you know, Disco Times breaking 134 and this guy's close to 135. I struggle to get my head around that he can go with this group, but he is getting better all the time. And, you know, he's only just turned 4-year-old, and who knows? I'm a little bit nervous. I've tossed him, but I'm nervous.
Right. Captain Cook is next. Again, 33-1. He pretty disappointing in his last start in a Grade 3. Ron, do you see him turning things around?
Possibly. Like I wouldn't rule him out. He does 33s is on the big side, I think. Trained by Todd Pletcher, who won this race with Life is Good in 2022. He hasn't always been trained by Pletcher. I think the second in a Grade 1 at Saratoga in the summer, 7 furlong Grade 1 in the summer on his first start for the barn. He was well beaten next time at Keeneland, I don't know what happened. I say well beaten. He still finished second, but he was kind of hammered by the winner. He's been off since. He's going to have to leave that form behind. But Pletcher can get them ready off a layoff. I think it's quite interesting that he's in this race, and rather than just being a kind of sporting runner, I don't really think that Pletcher's that kind of trainer. He must see something in this horse. I think he's got a chance. So I wouldn't put anyone off at 33-1.
Okay. So, if Daniel, can you put an argument forward for him?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Ron said. He's one of the more interesting outsiders. I mean, there's a lot not to like. I mean, he won one of the Kentucky Derby Trail trials last year, but it was the Withers. It was over this distance, but it was looked weak at the time, and it looks weaker now. He's been through 3 trainers in 8 runs. Last time out, he's thrashed by 9 lengths at odds on. He's drawn badly. So why is the bit of interest? The bit of interest is that absolutely monster run he put in to almost win the Grade 1 Alan Jerkins at Saratoga against a really good horse, Patch Adams. Now that was 7 furlongs, and I don't know whether this guy really wants to know. It's a practical joke, but maybe. But I just have this feeling, like Ron, that it's not impossible that this guy could run a big one. So. Yeah, 33 is big. Haven't included him in my top 4, but he's definitely an outsider who could just throw in a monster race to surprise.
Yeah, 33s with UK bookmakers. The money line expected odds are 15-1, so quite a marked difference there. And the same is could be said for British Isles, who again it's a similar naming conventions actually. Captain Cook and British Isles. He is currently best price 50-1, although the money line expects him to go off at, so I'm scanning the page here, at 20s. Daniel, which price do you align more closely to, 50s or 20s?
A bit torn. So it's pathetic. I'll say somewhere in the middle. Basically, I couldn't toss him out just because of that last run. So he finishes half a length behind Horse of Baffert's Nevada Beach, who's a good type. The Breeders' Cup Classic was too much for him, but he very nearly took down Nisos last time out in that those horses prepped to Saudi. They go to the Saudi Cup. The fact that British Isles got so close, it just makes me concerned that maybe he's getting really good. On balance, I'm doubting it, because I suspect Nevada Beach was not didn't run very well that just 2-3 weeks after the Breeders' Cup, probably too much too soon. So I can't quite take that literally. But if you just were to go on collateral and single piece of form and take it seriously, this guy's not a complete throwout.
Okay. And Ron, are you in agreement?
I put a line through this one. Spent most of his career on turf. He did run well last time at Del Mar and finishing second in that Grade 3, but that form is like quite a way removed of what's going to be needed now. Maybe he steps up on that. It's possible but I just don't think so. He's like, he's not a bad price if you kind of see something in him. I mean, it was an okay run at Del Mar, but and I get the collateral form and what have you, but yeah, I just think there's others with better form and better speed figures.
Yeah, fair enough. The last horse in the betting is Brother Kenny. He is 66-1 and comes here as the winner of the Zia Park Derby, which I have obviously never heard of. Either of you, I'll allow you to answer first if either of you have an interest in Brother Kenny.
I have a strong disinterest in Brother Kenny. I'll go like that. He's never faced a top horse. He's never run a fast speed figure. He has run in 2 Group 3s. He has finished 3rd in both those, but they were weakish Group 3s. This is different gravy, and he's got an absolute coffin slot draw. Complete toss.
Okay, I assume your silence, Ron, means you're a similar thought.
Yeah, no, like he's got no shot on form or speed figures. The only thing you'd note is that he changed trainers since the Zia Park Derby, and if he's joined like a relatively high strike rate trainer, but he's got no chance really. I don't think so.
Yeah, and quickly, other the reserves, I see there's Lightning Tones at 66s and Catalytic at 100s.
Yeah, they've got no chance either.
No chance.
Yeah, it's not good enough, and I think they want to ensure a full field. So in case one drops out, they want to stick a horse in there. But yeah, not up to this race.
And even if one of those no-hopers get in, they get the worst of the draw when they slot in. So it's just a double no.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, forget the reserves. And we'll move on to selections. So there we are on screen. You might have got a sense of what was coming based on what was said. And quite, unless you're able to bet 8 places or horses to finish 1 to 8, it's going to be difficult to decipher this. But we've got these in order of preference. And Ron, we'll start with you. You've gone for White Abarrio as your best bet, and do you want to just run through a quick summary of your thinking?
Absolutely. Yeah, no worries. The one thing that strikes me there is that we've got 8 horses between us in a 12-horse field, and neither of us have got Captain Cook, despite both of us having spoken like glowingly about his price and his odds. So there's a chance that we haven't even got the winner there out of those 8 horses. But yeah, I think I kind of gave my reasons for White Abarrio. Obviously last year's winner, and I think I just got a sneaky suspicion that he is a fair chance he'll do it again. And I'm not bothered about his draw. If anything, you wouldn't necessarily call it a positive being out in 11, but if you watch last year's race, the jockey kind of hooked him out wide as soon as he could anyway. So I think he'll be quite happy just to let a few of them kind of go mad into the first bend, bide his time. Probably no one rides this track better than Iran Ortiz. He kind of made his name around Gulfstream initially, and he'll know exactly what to do to save the ground on the turn. And if the horse is kind of on one of his good days, then the others are going to have to, they'll be chasing him basically if he has a good day. Manicat Road, I really like. I think he's got speed. I take the point from Daniel that maybe they won't completely gun him from the gates, but I think Baffert tends to like to use a horse's speed if they've got it. That's their asset, and this is the game. Dirt racing. I think they'll send him, and I could just see him surviving out of all of those horses who are going to kind of try and show something early. I think I could see him being the one that hangs around. So I'll have him second. And then Skippy Longstocking and Poster. Skippy Longstocking, he can race handy, but he won't this time. I was looking back last year when he finished third. I think he came from like 7th, about 5.5 lengths off the speed. I think he'll kind of sit a similar trip and try and pick up the pieces. And Poster will be even further back. And with added blinkers, he might just show a bit more zest. And he's not a bad horse. He's quite slow, but he does run to the line. And for when you're looking for like exotic type bets, you're looking at your sort of 3rd and 4th places. Yeah. You want something that's still going to be running at the line rather than dying a death and trying to hang on for a 3rd or 4th. So I've got those horses to finish 3rd and 4th.
Okay, excellent. And then Daniel, do you want to quickly run through yours? We won't have to worry about you overlapping with what Ron's already said. So yeah,
no, indeed. Well, firstly, I have to say I'm hanging my head in shame. As you know me, I try and avoid favourites like the plague because I've tend to find they tend to be overbet. But in fact, this guy I don't think is value at 7-4, but I just think Disco Time is the one exciting horse in this race who could become a superstar because I think White Abarrio is over the hill, and we'll find out on Saturday at 10:39 whether I've got that horribly wrong or not. So yeah, Disco Time and the both Cox horses. These are exciting horses who could still pick up. Tappan Street, also got it to prove. Don't like his price. Morning line 6-1. They're suggesting maybe that won't come, but 7-2 feels short. Back on that. Banishing, I think, is wrong at 25s. So I had to put him in and I put him at high. He's got a good draw, and he's a reliable board hitter, and I think he could run very well. And I can't rule out what I think will be the speed of the speed for Serrano. If he's not, if he and Mika are not cutting each other's throats, I think it could be dangerous to hang around a long time.
Okay, interesting. Right, well, that is the predicted order of finish. Different necessarily to betting recommendations. We'll make that clear. But thank you very much for if you've made it this far. And Ron, thank you very much for joining us. It's been really interesting to hear what you have to say. If you want to hear more of Ron, as I said, it's a Telegraph Media Group. And yeah, it's not just racing anymore, is it? You're into the world of football and golf as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really enjoying that, covering those two sports as well. And yeah, you can find my stuff all linked, I guess, to my page in the description. And yeah, like if anyone wants to check it out. But thanks for having me on. It's been good fun.
Yeah, not at all. And how's your 2026 started punting wise?
I've had a load of seconds. Like I tipped a load of. For the Telegraph Media Group, one thing I do is I still cover the Maidan stuff, and there was a card the other day, a couple of weeks ago now. I think I had 5 seconds on the card, and 3 of them were beating a short head. So yeah, it went a little bit better last week. But yeah, I don't mind so much. It's frustrating, but you'd rather. I guess it shows you're getting close at least when they're finishing second. So not too bad, but I want to turn those seconds into winners.
Yeah, excellent. Well, hopefully we will be able to speak again sometime soon as the Dubai Carnival plays out over spring. And Daniel, any words before we go?
No, just taking you back to the beginning when you opened, I couldn't help notice, and apologies for pointing this out, described Rod as a commercial betting partner. This made him sound like, one of Tony Bloom's sort of, shady sort of sand lizard backroom guy doing deals in the Far East and stuff. I think it was commercial betting writer, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, that's okay. No, I haven't noticed. Commercial betting writer for Telegraph Media Group. If anyone wants to check that out, but
yeah. Well, maybe it's what you call your girlfriend, a commercial betting partner. I'm not sure. Right, cool. Right, well, thank you very much, guys. It's been good fun, and it's great to get back doing these again. So please do like, subscribe. Let us know if you've got an interest in the Pegasus this year. We always enjoy hearing it, and we look forward to speaking to you in the next one. And Daniel, it's on you to hit end.
Oh, blimey! I'm in charge of the technicals. This is not going to go well. See you all.